name is Chris Steffen. I'm joined today by John Kindervag. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the CCZT. CCZT is a great certification from our friends at the Cloud Security Alliance, and we'll get into all of that here in a moment, but wanted to take a quick chance to say hi. John, why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm John Kindervag. I am an advisor to the Cloud Security Alliance. I'm the chief evangelist for a company called Illumio, who's a sponsor of the Cloud Security Alliance. I am the creator of Zero Trust, and I'm the holder of the CCZT #1 certification. So I'm excited to talk to you about why this is important as you move forward in your Zero Trust journey.
Yeah, I am holder number 5 in the CCZT world. I am the vice president of research for an analyst firm called Enterprise Management Associates and the co-chair of the Zero Trust Working Group for the Cloud Security Alliance. So really, really proud to be here, be able to talk about CCZT. I think it is really, really important to get more awareness out there of why this certification is important, especially for those that are considering a journey in Zero Trust. So, John, talk to me a little bit about what the CCZT is.
So the CCZT was created by the Cloud Security Alliance, and it is the only, the Zero Trust is the only effort by the Cloud Security Alliance that is not fully cloud-based, right? So it includes on-premise technologies and all that kind of stuff. It's just full Zero Trust. And what the Cloud Security Alliance is doing is it is taking Zero Trust to the rest of the world. A lot of the entities that we know who issue reports and documentation and guidance around Zero Trust are very US government centric. And what the Cloud Security Alliance has said, we're completely neutral in all this. We're not tied to a particular location. We want the whole world to adopt Zero Trust. And as a result, they brought a very large working group together, of which you and I are both a part of, hundreds of people. And then all of us came together to create multiple kinds of resources, including to create this certification program. And I'm seeing a lot of interest around it around the world. And it's a great way to start to document how well you understand Zero Trust. Will help companies, it will help organizations, it will help employers, it will help employees.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the same thing. I talk to people obviously every day in the role that I'm in, and people are dying to understand what the Zero Trust is. You and I have evangelized seemingly since like the beginning of time about what Zero Trust is. And even to this day, there is a lot of misconceptions about really what it means, how you get there. Is it, a one and done thing? Can I go to the latest security conference and buy a product and be Zero Trust? And the answer to all those questions is no. So this is one of those things. Find somebody with this kind of certification. They will be able to educate you on what Zero Trust really means, what it really kind of takes to get there, and why this kind of certification is important. I am not one that just takes and gets certifications at this point. I've had 14 of them in my career. I maintain a couple of them to this day, but this is one of the only 3 that I actually mentioned in my signature. That's how important it is to me. I really do feel that it's very important out there to kind of, when you're framing that conversation about Zero Trust, which again is something that I'm talking about practically every day, as John, I know you are as well. It really is that kind of important thing to be out there to kind of level set where you are and to try to educate, evangelize to others exactly what the Zero Trust stuff is.
Absolutely. So as we talk about it, let's say why Zero Trust? Why now? What's going on in the world that makes this such an important certification?
Yeah, I mean, when you start taking and looking at, the really 4 key points, and we can even expand upon those, the technology is constantly evolving. You need to be able to be taking advantage of the latest technology to maximize your place not only amongst your peers, but your company within its vertical. And if you're not taking and maximizing that technology and staying ahead of the game, you're literally falling behind. I promise you, your competitors are. I promise you that as another professional, we are all talking about this zero trust thing. So that's why zero trust and zero trust certification makes a lot of sense. Trying to take and embrace the latest trends, understanding how that applies to you personally, but also professionally to your business, I think is critically important.
And we're also seeing a lot of movement around, uh, mandates from the government, like the executive order from President Biden that happened in 2021, 2022. We saw the Office of Management and Budget issue M2209, which specifies how you're going to do zero trust in the US federal government. But we're seeing a lot of countries sort of bring in these mandates at a government level. So a lot of people are going to be forced to do it, and we want to help them do it easier, cheaper, and more effectively.
I also think there's something about when you talk about workforce development, when you talk about understanding how to differentiate yourself personally from all the other fly by night new security guys. I don't, I, John can laugh at this too. I don't know how many people we hear about that basically say, I am a security guy. Yes, you learned how to tie your shoes yesterday, kind of thing. And yes, I'm the old gray beard. I understand that. But security is not something that you just learn overnight. It's really important, especially to prospective employers, to really understand what kind of skills you actually have. And this kind of certification helps them understand that. The great news is that the CCZT was created for those reasons. It was created so that people understand that not only do you understand the best practices, not only is it driven by the industry's experts, literally, again, John is the guy who helped create this stuff to begin with, but it's something vendor neutral. You don't have to take and put your, big box vendor hat on and say, well, I know what it needs compared to this, but I don't know anything else. That's not what the CSA stands for. And it really is important to be able to talk about it from the larger aspect and the larger industry as a whole, what the importance of zero trust is.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a thing that is happening. You're going to end up doing it if you're in cybersecurity. We know it works, and so you want to get trained on it. And this is good, really good training, really great training. Won the Cutting Edge Cybersecurity Training Award this year. So it's really the first real training that you can have in zero trust that has any value, that isn't just a vendor certification. And so while vendor certifications are important because you need to understand how to operate the tooling that you're going to use to implement zero trust, zero trust is not about products. It's much more about ideas and best practices. So that's what we're excited to talk to you about today.
Yeah, and I think that's really important too. And you hit on a key point. As a hiring person that's been a hiring manager plenty of times, I'm looking for people that really do understand some fundamentals. You can only ask so many questions in a 17-hour interview process, and we all been through them that just go on and on and on. And I'm not going to, stump the wumpus and try to figure out everything that's going on. But that certification says, at least I believe that you have a baseline understanding of how this is going to be, how we're going to proceed with this initiative. And so I know I don't have to ask you all those questions. And that's, in the grand scheme, that's kind of what certifications mean to begin with, right? You want to understand that those people have that baseline. And when the CCZT was founded, that was the goal. You want people to have a fundamental understanding of what this whole zero trust thing actually is.
And zero trust is really for everybody, right? So it's not just for technologists, it's for leaders, it's for all kinds of people. So who should earn their CCZT? I mean, anybody involved in zero trust. Again, it's a good baseline. And I'm seeing a lot of people ask about it. I constantly am sending people over to the team, the training team at the Cloud Security Alliance to help folks get these certifications underway for themselves or maybe for their entire organization. And so there's a lot of different stakeholders that this resonates with.
Yeah, I've done the same. This is not, I mean, it is a technical cert, and please don't misunderstand me, but it isn't for technologists and technologists alone. There are plenty of people that are going to be impacted by your zero trust implementation that are going to be interested in this kind of certification. Again, if nothing else, it gives everybody a baseline. And don't think that your CEOs and your chief of operations and even people like HR that are all part of the implementation process, so on and so forth, giving them the exposure to the curriculum, if nothing else, is really going to help you take and have a better and more secure environment. So again, it isn't security nerds are us. It isn't that kind of cert. It is one of those to gain better understanding and general expertise in this area that's actually very important, not only to you as a professional, but it'll be important to your entire organization.
So let's talk about some of the benefits, right? I think that this is what people know. What's in it for me?
Yeah, CPE credits, I think, is just one of those things. You got to have them. My goodness gracious, there are plenty of CPEs out there, but these are actually valuable to exactly what you're trying to do. I don't know how many CPEs I get in a year, but seeing as I do this all day, every day, they come pretty easily. But the reality is that they are important. It's important to keep your education up to speed, and taking and getting the CCZT will help you do that. It's also really great for professional advancement. As I mentioned before, when you're taking and put this on a resume, I promise you that unless your hiring manager is completely out in left field, when they see that you are no less than an expert at zero trust, that's going to be very interesting to people that are hiring, especially if they have a zero trust project. But it also, again, the last one from my perspective is it is an authoritative source. You are taking and getting, a certification that, quite bluntly, there are some certifications out there and some certificates that aren't hardly worth the paper that they're written on. This is actually coming from a authoritative source. This is coming from the CSA. They are literally the authority and the experts. And don't take my word for it. Come to any of our meetings and you'll find out how nerdy we are. And trust me, this is really where you want to get your zero trust knowledge from.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody who is a leader in zero trust is involved in all of this. So there's probably nobody that I can think of that I would want to talk to and that I can communicate with on zero trust topics, and I do that all the time, it is not involved in this process. So it's just a really inclusive global effort, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
As am I.
So there is stuff here. It's not just vaporware, right? We've seen a lot of vaporware in this kind of things coming soon to a theater near you, but there's actually an exam bundle. There is curriculum. There is all kinds of knowledge out there. So you can actually learn something, and it's not like some certifications where you just memorize some test questions and you take the test and you're done. There's real curriculum here, right?
Yeah, there is. And more to the point, this is, again, I'm not trying to freak anybody out, but it's constantly being evaluated. We want to constantly take and update this. This is not a one and done kind of thing. This is one of those things that as the technologies change, as the requirements change, and I'll speak for myself, John will confirm this. This stuff changes daily. Not only what the universe is taking and how it's approaching it, but the different organizations, governments, whatever have you, that are accepting zero trust as a foundational priority in their overall security strategy. So again, these things are constantly changing. The great news is that the foundation, the exam bundle that we're showing probably on a slide right here, is really great. We've all contributed to all these. Once you have a fundamental understanding of how all these work, you're going to be in a really good and very strong place.
Absolutely. So in terms of the exam, it's 60 multiple choice questions. It's a standard thing. You can get it done in 2 hours easily. Like everything else, you got to get a passing score. You've done this for every certification you have. This is the only certification that I have current. All my others have expired, mostly just because I'm old and lazy and I don't like to, put in CPE credits into a database and all that stuff. But as you can see on this slide that we're showing, you can see the number of questions and what you're going to be tested on. And all of these things are iterative, right? And that's what you need in stuff, is that we're all willing to change, we're all willing to learn, and the world changes very quickly. You just mentioned that, Chris. But I always tell people I have 6 months experience in cybersecurity, right? What matters is the last 6 months and the next 6 months. Everything else is sort of war stories. So I could tell people I've been doing this for 20, 30 years or whatever, but that's pretty meaningless. My experience building, ISDN networks is not relevant to the modern world. So you have to stay up to date, and that's the key
Yeah.
thing.
And I have a CNA from the Novell 31X days. How relevant is that today, right? Okay. So, I mean, again, totally get it. And I totally agree. It's one of those things where it is literally my job to stay on top of what's going on in security. But if it happened 2 years ago, that's old news to me. And yeah, war stories are great, and you and I could trade them all day. I promise you that. But
And we have
and
actually.
we
So
have, yeah. But I'm also here to tell you that staying on top of what's going on in zero trust, the technologies that impact zero trust, I think is critically important. It's something that I dedicate a lot of time to. And I find it worthwhile. I find it actually very complementary to what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. There is no conflict for me. It is one of those things that I am very, very strongly recommending, and one of those things that I really have dedicated a lot of time to.
absolutely. So what should people do to get ready to do this?
Yeah, how you prepare for a test. You've probably been preparing for tests since you took the, standardized tests in elementary school. Quite bluntly, you kind of start and figure out on your own. The great news is that there is a ton of resources available. The great news also is that the GSA is also providing this training. Taking a look at resources there. There's instructor online training that's available. I know of some folks that will take and provide, class structure for you. And then, of course, self-paced online training and studying on your own. There is a CCZT prep kit that you can get from the CSA, has study guides, knowledge base, whatever else. And again, take it, look out there. If you ever have any questions about that, the CSA is more than happy to take and answer those questions. If they can't answer those questions, you can always ping me or John, and we can try to point you in the right direction there too. But last but not least, there is no prerequisites, right? There having a basic understanding of cloud and security is probably a pretty strong recommendation, but it's not absolutely required. So get the resources that are available, figure out the best way that you can approach that kind of studying and those kind of resources, and take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, and as you're developing your career, you want to think through, when do you do all these different kinds of things. So the CCSK, which is your basic cloud security certification from the Cloud Security Alliance, is a good background to have. I mean, look, we're all going to have to deal with security in the cloud. So, having a real understanding of a multitude of security topics is going to be important for everyone.
Totally agree.
So what do? You take the exam, right? To do that, register on the CSA exams website. You purchase an exam token. You've all done this, and then you take it. Pretty simple, and not too much to it. And this is just standard stuff, motherhood and apple pie in the world of cybersecurity training.
Yep. Again, I've done this plenty of times myself, and I think everybody else has as well.
And so go out, get it. You can learn more about it on the website. There's all these links here. You can figure out what's going on. It's really simple. We have an open group of people that meet very regularly. You can join that. It's not, something that's limited to a certain group of people. I mean, there's hundreds of people involved in this. Sometimes we get on these calls, I'm like, look at how many people are on this call. It's crazy. So there's just so much of a demand for this knowledge. And it's exciting for me to be a part of it, to be a part of the Cloud Security Alliance, to work with people like Chris and all the other great people that I get to interact with on a regular basis.
Yeah, I totally agree. And John, it's obviously a pleasure to work with you as well. It is truly a great community to be a part of. Don't take our word for it. Come and bump into us. We're always at conferences. John will be in the Illumio booth. I will be all over the place on the show floor. You come see the security beard. You can't miss it. You can see it from a mile away. But come and bump into us. Come and say hi. There's always a booth. There's always people around. And we're always interested in being the security nerds and talking about this stuff.
Absolutely. So, if you're new to cybersecurity, if you're new to zero trust, this is a great first step in that zero trust journey. If you've been around for a long time, but you just want to get that certification, get you past that HR gatekeeper, this is also a good thing to do. And if you're in an organization that needs to come together and have a shared baseline, that's another reason to get everybody involved. I'm working with a lot of organizations where there's 2 or 3 people who really understand what's going on, but it's just hard to scale that. And if you get this training and bring it into your organization, and there's ways to do that, there's ways to get instructors to come to your organization. So lots of opportunity here. Reach out and then also join the Zero Trust Working Group. This is what we've been talking about, the hundreds of people who are involved in this on a regular basis.
Yeah, again, couldn't agree more. And we're always looking for more members, proud leader of these groups. And it has been a privilege to be able to work with everybody there. Plenty of room, no matter what your expertise is, from complete novice to expert in the field. So I really do hope that you take this opportunity to join. With that, we're going to wrap it up. I really appreciate John for joining me with this conversation today. If you have any more questions about the CCZT certification, please head on over to the CSA, and good luck on the test, and thanks for listening.